Ranking zoo animals that I've had to fight on a scale of 1 to 10. That statement might have sounded strange, but me and my wife own a wildlife education facility, and we also help with tons of other wildlife animals getting moved from places, helping them once they get there, helping them settle in, and then of course bringing them here. And I do not agree with most animals being in captivity, guys. Our facility is for misplaced exotic animals that have been deemed non-releasable by the United States government, so please don't give me grief. And when I say fight, I don't mean that I went in there and just started duking it out with them. I mean, you're working around them, everything seems normal, and then all of a sudden a switch just gets flipped. Or I'm reporting to somebody's house to pick up an animal. That happens a lot when animals get confiscated, and the police or wildlife officials don't really know how to handle them. That's where experts like us come in, and we have to kind of handle them. And tranking them is not always the answer. Tranking animals actually can kill a whole lot of them. And let's face it, there's not every situation that you can use a trank in. You have to have eyes on the animals, and you have to have some distance between you. A lot of times we get called to take animals quite literally out of people's houses, and it's like a tight corner bedroom or so. We try to go in there like a SWAT team or Navy SEAL, but not all the times you have the best options available to you. So we do have special gear. I have bite-proof gloves, I have neck guards, I've got the whole 9 yards, pretty much like riot gear, essentially. So wolves, I'm going to give them a 5 out of 10. I have a scar on my ankle from where a wolf grabbed me and dragged me about 10 feet. I was able to grab a bone, kind of wedge it in its mouth, pry my ankle out of its mouth. Aside from that, once it had a hold of me, I had a hold of it also. They're not very agile once you get control of the neck. All you got to do is hope they get a major bone, such as an arm bone or a leg bone. They can't quite crush that, but if they get your hand or your bare foot, they will crush that. So never let them get your hands, never let them get your feet, and most importantly, never let them get your neck or your face. So you're going to offer that arm up with that bite-proof glove on that comes up to your elbow or to your shoulder, and you're going to let them grab a hold of that. Once they grab a hold of that, a lot of times you can take control of the main part of their body and then guide them over to their crate. Kangaroos, they're like a 2 out of 10. They're easy and predictable. I had to help give kangaroos a shot one time. They're all pretty chill. They're all pretty nice. I give one kangaroo a shot. Another kangaroo saw me do it. He didn't like that I gave that one a shot, and he came sprinting at me. These bad boys can move at 37 miles an hour, and they deliver a powerful kick. He caught me right in the chest. I went down, knocked the air out of me. Can't catch me with that trick again, buddy. I know it's coming now. You take a simple step to the left or a simple step to the right. They cannot swap directions very good once they start going, and they can't go backwards at all. So you want to swivel around to their backside immediately because they cannot go backwards. They have to take a few steps and turn around. Once you do that swivel move and they jump past you, you grab at the tail, preferably the base. Their tail is extremely strong. You cannot hurt them by holding on to their tail. You give them the shot, finish what you're doing, move on. Fun fact, my wife has a scar from getting drop kicked by a wallaby. It goes all the way across her rib cage. Raccoons, 7 out of 10. Surprisingly strong, really fast. Everybody that I know that works extensively with raccoons is going to get a bite from them. We call them in the zoo world, we call them raccoon tattoos. Big cats are a 10 out of 10. Do not recommend. I actually know a guy that he got his throat sliced open by a juvenile tiger. He had to hold his throat closed while he was driven to the hospital with compression on it, just literally trying to hold it together. And that juvenile tiger was just plain. It did not even mean to do it. Those claws are just so razor sharp that it just kind of pawed at him and it went tink, and it was just like a razor blade right through that the jugular right here. Primates, no thank you. If you think you want a monkey, no you don't. And I'm going to tell you why. We had to help take care of 2 vervet monkeys. They were misplaced from a home in Wisconsin where their owner passed away of a heart attack. So we were helping take care of them until we could find them a permanent home. The enclosure that they were in was about 30 some odd feet long, and he was in the very back of it. I cracked the door open just to grab a water bowl to change it because he had pooped in it. I swear he did it on purpose, knowing that I'd have to change that bowl. Somehow he cleared that 30-foot distance in a millisecond and had a hold of my leg. It was so fast I didn't see it coming. Unfortunately, the people that had him before were really cruel, and they had removed his canine teeth. Fortunately for me, that means that he really couldn't bite me too hard through my blue jeans. It just hurt, and it left a big, massive bruise. And any kind of monkey or primate, no matter the size, will wreck your world. I don't care if you're a big macho bodybuilding dude. You don't stand a chance on that first initial strike. They're so fast, you'll never see it coming. You know those little finger monkeys, the little marmosets? We actually know a guy that's missing the whole lower part of his ear because that's the perfect size of their mouth. And it jumped up on his shoulder, bit off his earlobe, and then ran away before he even knew that he was being attacked by a monkey. A lot of people ask about the scar that's on my chin right here and some of my facial scars. That's actually from an Impala, but not the Impala, the animal, the Chevy Impala. A 2007 actually hit me right in the face when I was a teenager. That's a true story. That's a story for a whole nother time. But Impalas and gazelles, antelope in general, you don't want to jack with them. If you guys didn't know it, a guy in Oklahoma City was killed a few years ago by a black buck that just speared him all the way through. Those horns are like swords on top of their heads. If you guys don't know what a black buck is, they're beautiful animals. Shouldn't be messing with them. Zebras, you're going to lose. There's no sense of talking about that. Camels you will lose without a doubt. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. There's a zoo right outside of Memphis where a camel escaped, and it did kick 2 people to death, and it only had to kick each one of them one time. and they kick forwards. Unlike a donkey or a horse that has to kick backwards, they can kick forwards. They also have teeth, and they have a really nasty bite, and if they do bite you, their mouth is full of bacteria, so it inflicts poison damage. Anacondas and pythons, depending on their size, they are one big solid muscle. So imagine an anaconda that weighs 60 or 70 pounds. Now imagine losing an arm wrestling match to a dude that has an arm that's only made out of about 20 pounds of muscle at absolute most if he's really jacked. So you're talking about 60 to 100 pound solid muscle that's wrapping you up and constricting you. You're going to lose. But easy enough to deal with. You hope somebody has some vinegar on hand. You can squirt some vinegar in their mouth and they mostly just let go. Bobcats. Our bobcat is extremely nice. They are the strongest pound for pound member of the feline family, but incredibly strong. If you guys didn't know how a bobcat hunts, it's actually going to jump and try to crush your windpipe, and then it's just going to follow you until you die. So you can actually watch videos of bobcats jumping on deers, giving them one bite on their windpipe, and then just following them for like 5 or 10 minutes until they just suffocate. Bobcats are brutal animals, but ours is lovely. I love him. His name's Eli. So with bobcats, caracals, other small cats that are going to go for the face of the eyes, you always want to tuck your chin and cover the sides of your head. And pretty much just get out of the situation the best you can, okay? Their teeth and claws can really jack your legs up, but it's not going to be enough to bring you all the way down, so you just want to protect those vitals. I'm literally talking close your eyes, put your hands up, and walk out of there. If you guys really like this weird, obscure insider information about zoos and zookeepers and stuff, just let me know. I'll keep videos like this coming. If you're interested in this one, watch our other ones. We got some pretty cool stuff out there. And we never, ever would condone of any kind of violence or rough handling of animals. This video is really just like what can happen in the wild, or some of our extreme situations when we get called in to remove animals from homes they shouldn't be in, or when animals are having to get relocated and things like that. Hey, I'm glad you're seeing us again. Today we're going to talk about otters and how beautiful these creatures are. Not. Otters are the Ted Bundy serial killers of the animal kingdom. They're awful. They're horrible. That's right. I bet you thought they were cute. They hold hands so they don't float away. They give each other gifts to show each other affection. But do you know what else they do? And don't mind the parrot. I'm just training it so when I find the one piece, I can be a proper king of the pirates. In fact, if you all didn't know it, in an interview one time, Steve Irwin said he had one animal at his zoo that he was afraid of, and guess what it was? His otters. And it wasn't because they just like to hug you too much. I'm just going to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and tell you how bad this is. Otters RAPE almost every animal around them. Like if they can get their little paws on them, that's what they're going to do. Even if they're already deceased. They do necrophilia. It is disturbing and gross. They're one of the only animals ever to have been observed doing this in the wild. In fact, scientists have found that their mating rituals are so brutal. That's a leading reason why sea otters actually pass away, is because the males will actually drown the females during this process or purposely just abuse them over and over again. But it doesn't even have to be a female otter. They'll pretty much settle with anything with a pulse or not a pulse. They've also often been observed torturing other animals. Like one otter was videoed actually biting the legs off a frog and then just watching the frog, like to see what it would do after its legs were bitten off. And then it just like followed it around. And you probably thought all otters were cute. Let me tell you something. Giant otters in South America can get up to 6 foot long. So that means that humans aren't even off the table for what I said earlier either. But, you know, surely Asian small-clawed otters, you know, the cute ones that you mostly are seeing at the zoos, surely they're nice, right? Wrong. Out in the wild where they've been observed living around the same areas that monkeys lived, they are often seen tricking monkeys to get close to the water by enticing them with food and then dragging them into the water to drown them. Not to eat them for survival, but just because they felt like it. They're one of the few animals that actually seem to relish in the suffering of others. And say you do get attacked by an otter and it scratches you or bites you and you get away. You think the encounter's over. Wrong, cuz. You better hope your skill checks are high and you roll a 10 or higher, because they can inflict poison damage more than almost any other animal can. You got about a 50-50 shot of getting what's called valley fever, which can be fatal if left untreated, but mostly you're just going to get a really bad fever, be really sick to your stomach, and have swollen joints. So if you haven't guessed it already, otters belong to the assassin class. So if you guys like weird and obscure animal facts, then give us a follow. It's one of our favorite things to talk about. The hardest zoo animals to take care of, and no, I don't mean the big ones that have like teeth and claws and they're just difficult because they're big and scary. I'm talking about the weird, obscure stuff that normal people, you know, people that aren't zookeepers wouldn't even know about or think of. So first on this list is going to be sloths. Everybody loves the, sloths and thinks they're so cute and cuddly, and you see sloth decor everywhere. Guys, that ain't even true. Did you guys know that sloths smell so bad that most zookeepers refuse to even work around them? That's because they grow fungus and algae in their fur. And insects love to live in that fungus and algae. So if you think you want to cuddle with one, you're cuddling with like maggots and bugs and all kinds of creepy stuff that smells awful. They're not just stinky, their diets can be very complicated, as well as them having a very low tolerance to too hot or too cold. They only have about a 30-degree variable in which they can survive in. So anything less than 55 degrees and anything over like 96, 97 degrees is lethal. They can get frostbite as low as 55 degrees. And if you thought they're too slow to hurt you, think again. Sloths can actually swipe pretty fast and they can move quickly in short bursts. People don't know this and often try to like take photos with them out in the wild and get mauled pretty bad. Their grip is also strong enough to crush your bones. The next most difficult animal to take care of, I'd imagine, would be a southern tamandua anteater. Anteaters in general are a pain in the butt, but southern tamanduas especially, they also have that same like temperature tolerance. They have to be between 60 and 85 degrees. So theirs is actually only about a 25-degree variable. If it's not humid enough, their skin will dry out and cracked out. And also they have to eat tons and tons and tons of like crushed up veggies, fruits, and insects. It's almost impossible to replicate their diet in captivity without spending a fortune. The next hardest one to feed that no one really thinks of is a toucan. Toucans eat an incredible amount of food. I had to help take care of one month, and he would eat $6 worth of blueberries every day. That's a whole case of blueberries a day, let alone the other stuff he was eating with it. Next on my list would be the caiman. You know the little crocodiles? If you move them, they won't eat for like 2 weeks. They get agitated really easy, and it's really difficult to get them acclimated to any kind of new environment. Koalas will always be on this list because they pretty much only eat eucalyptus leaves, and they're so dumb that they will not recognize that it's a eucalyptus leaf unless it's actually still attached to the branch or the tree. Like you can't pick it off of them and like ship it for them. So like they'll eat it like in a box. Nope, you got to have the branch, the tree, the whole shebang. Pretty much any long-tailed primate below 55 degrees will get frostbite on the tip of its tail because at those temperatures, they can't push the blood that far to the tip of their tail to keep it warm. And raccooning ain't easy. In fact, they used to use raccoons in labs instead of monkeys, but the scientists were like, this is too unpredictable. They're too dangerous. They're too strong for how small they are, and they're too clever. They get out of there in cages all the time. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The most dangerous zoo animal, though, if you were wondering, is a zebra. Zebras cause more injuries on zookeepers than any other two animals combined. People always think they're cute and cuddly and nice. Zebras will go out of their way to ruin your life. And if you've ever been at the zoo and smell weed, it's just the anteaters. They smell exactly like that devil's lettuce. Here's an animal we'd all lose a fight to, and I've been terrified of this son of a gun since I watched Pebble and the Penguin when I was a kid. Hope that unlocks some memories for y'all. It's one of the scariest animals in the ocean, in my opinion, and it's the leopard seal. Okay, if you guys haven't seen these guys, they can get up to 1,300 pounds. You know, you think of seals, you think of those like cute little animals you see off the piers like in California and stuff. No, the leopard seal is a silent, icy assassin. Actually, they're not all that quiet. They actually do what's called singing to help find each other because they live an incredibly solitary life, sometimes going years without seeing others of their own kind. And these 12-foot long giant bull-sized torpedoes can swim at a rate of 40 kilometers per hour. For us American, that's 25 miles an hour because we refuse to use anything but the metric system. And if you didn't know it, here in the United States, you can never be more than 135 miles from your nearest McDonald's. So a leopard seal could get there in about 5 to 6 hours. Any McDonald's, leopard seals can get there pretty fast. So what would a leopard seal eat? They'll eat penguins, first of all. That's what they're most notorious for hunting, but they like to live about 45 to 50% of their diet on krill, but they'll even go after other seals and the occasional human. That's right, several marine biologists have actually lost their life trying to study leopard seals. And this is one of the most terrifying ways to possibly pass away. The last marine biologist to be killed by a leopard seal was actually drugged 200 feet into the icy depths of the Antarctic Ocean. How horrifying. And if y'all didn't know it, like seals are just pretty much aquatic wolves. Here's a picture of like what their teeth look like and the way their bone structure is. It's very wolf-like in shape. And on many occasions, they have actually popped rafts of tourists or marine biologists that are out there, you know, studying animals and stuff, which it's pretty weird. If you guys didn't know it, that like every country in the world, we can only agree on one thing, is that we won't let our citizens freely go to Antarctica. It's super creepy. And leopard seals are fascinating creatures. They've even been seen and observed feeding humans. There was once a marine biologist that studied this one female leopard seal for weeks, and she would, like, for days on end, bring him like other dead seals, penguins, fish that she caught for him, like just anything she could get. She was trying to feed him because she didn't think he could survive on his own, which is pretty cute, or if she's just trying to fatten him up. We'll never really know, and he even admits that he doesn't either. The world is certainly a fascinating place, and I can't wait to get out there and explore it all with you. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead and make sure that you like and follow on these videos to see more weird, obscure animal facts you would never really think of. And if you haven't seen Pebble and the Penguin, it is great, but it terrified me as a child. I used to be afraid the leopard seal was going to come out of the pool drain. Like, that was the irrational fear of leopard seals I had after watching that. Coyote hunting is one of the most useless things you can do in the whole animal kingdom. My wife and I own a wildlife education center here in Seminole, Oklahoma, and as wildlife experts, here's why we're saying that. So the phenomenon is called compensative reproduction, okay? It's when areas have animals that are overhunted or, something goes on that decreases their numbers heavily. It actually makes the females go into heat more often and have bigger and healthier litters. The average litter size for a coyote is only 3 to 5, but areas where coyotes are overly hunted, female coyotes have been observed having up to 13 puppies in one litter instead of their average 3 to 5. So that means if you thought you took out 3 to 5 coyotes and you did a great thing, the mom just reproduced triple or quadruple the amount she would have anyhow. And this isn't just like an opinion. This is a scientifically proven fact that when you overhunt coyotes, it has the adverse effect. You think you're getting rid of them? No, because you're never going to exterminate them all. There's over 4 million coyotes alone estimated in the United States. That's not even including Canada. And before everybody gets heated, especially you old men that have cattle, I get it. You got to protect your livestock. I'm actually a hunter myself, but I don't believe in wasting any part of the animal. And what I really get upset seeing is like when you see all these hunts where they go out and they just exterminate 20, 30, 40 coyotes and stuff, and they're just bragging about it. Well, I know y'all aren't eating coyote meat, okay? I know most of y'all, like 99% of you, don't even know how to skin the coyote. You want to, hold the weapon and, show all your buddies, but you really don't know what you're doing with skinning the thing. So go ahead and put all those knives away. But hunting coyotes, guys, you're not doing what you think you're doing. You're actually probably making the problem worse. And let's face it, most of you guys that are out there coyote hunting, you don't have cattle or care what happens to the cattle. You're just excited about that power trip. We already know. Not only that, did you know that most coyote pups don't even live to be adults because food is so scarce? There's so strong competition amongst their coyotes that not all of them even reach adulthood. But when you take out a majority of those coyotes, the ones that survive get extremely healthy. That's why some areas you see gigantic coyotes, and their babies are really big also. Areas that have overhunted coyotes, the coyotes that survive tend to be up to 30% larger than other areas' coyotes. So now they're 30% larger. That way they can produce more milk. They can produce more calories and carbs for those babies. They're going to produce way more than before, and they're going to be genetically healthier and stronger. So yeah, coyotes are like the cockroaches of the forest. You ain't getting rid of them no matter how many of them you want to take out. Also, if you didn't know it, coyotes kind of manage their own numbers. They have a social pack system, okay? They're going to kind of manage their own amounts. They're going to handle their own numbers. They're not going to be too many in an area because there's not enough food to feed them all anyhow. So they're going to die off or move on if there's not enough food in the area. So for those of you, the cattle farms, I get it. Do what you need to do to keep them off the cattle farms. But when you're going out into the woods and you're just massacring 30, 40, 50 coyotes, the 10 to 20 you missed are going to more than make up for it. And I already know right now the hate that I'm going to get in the comments. Your profile pictures are going to be those like big chunky orange glasses that look like the visor, like you're trying to be RoboCop or something, with probably a hat that comes from like Buckle or something that has like, I don't know, some cow on it or something. I already know you guys are going to wear the Argyle stuff. I get it. You probably visit Jackson Hole in the wintertime and all that. I got you. I understand loud and clear. Our address is right at the top of the page. We have tons of animals here. We have all kinds of deer, livestock, and all kinds of stuff. You know how many coyotes I've ever seen on my property? 0. Big old goose egg. You know why? Because I put an 8-foot fence around this whole son of a gun. And it's trenched in the ground so they can't dig under it. For those of you that like our content, follow along. We do all kinds of really cool, interesting animal fact videos that's chocked full of the weird, obscure stuff that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. I'm so excited to see the people that give me hate in the comments. Click on their profile picture and then like look at their last profile picture to see like if they changed their profile picture before they left the comment, so I couldn't be right about their description. It's like, it is always right. Weird pop culture tie-in here that, they did get it 100% correct though. You guys remember in the Twilight movies how like Jacob and the other wolves, like tons of them started becoming wolves, and they're like, in times of threat, more numbers, our numbers increase and all that stuff. That is based on scientific fact that I'm talking about right now. Because when the coyotes feel threatened, they're going to reproduce more. They're going to make more of them to combat whatever threat is coming in on them.
Yes, we love Twilight.
What are your chances of encountering shiny animals in the wild? I'm a huge Pokemon fan, so you know how to dive right in on this. So first off, we're going to talk about raccoons. Albino raccoons, you have about a 1 in 750,000 chance of encountering a albino raccoon in the wild. Now, melangistic raccoons, that means they're born either solid black or almost entirely black, or even rarer than that. Only about 1 in around every 2 million are born solid black. And even rarer is the piebald raccoon. So this is a raccoon that was born with albinoism, but then also some regular color as well. Even rarer still is a zebra. A albino zebra only happens in about 1 in every 3.5 million zebras. But you want to know the rarest animal that's probably on this list is this guy. That is a spotted melangistic zebra. It's the only one ever known to ever have existed. And I'm tired of getting asked this question. Zebra skin is black and they have white stripes. You might think albino buffaloes are common because so many zoos have them, because in captivity they just keep, breeding the same few albino buffaloes to get more of them. But in the wild, shiny buffaloes are only 1 out of 10 million. It's incredibly rare. They're actually legendary among the Native American people as being like spirit guardians and stuff. So 1 in 10 million. You all are always wanting to hear about penguins on these videos, so here you go. This penguin was actually born yellow. It is one of the only documented yellow penguins to ever have existed. It's extraordinarily rare, especially since they're on part of a world that no one ever really sees anyhow. It's not the only weirdly yellow bird in the world, though. Considered one of the rarest animals to ever exist, there is a cardinal nicknamed Sonny, and it was a bright red cardinal, but for whatever reason, he was yellow. Now, possibly the rarest kinds of animals to see, be it albino or melangistic or piebald, are animals that live in the water, lakes, oceans, etc. And these orcas were a world's first. Albino orcas had never been seen before, but this year, April of 2025, 2, not 1, but 2 were spotted off the coast of Japan, insinuating that this gene probably runs in their family since it's never been seen before. And this next one's not really a color morph, it's a size morph. If you have a Pomeranian at your house and it's like 4 times the size of a normal Pomeranian, and you're just sitting there going, what the hell? Like, what's wrong with your Pomeranian? And it's 20 to 30 pounds. Those are called throwback Pomeranians, and it's a very rare gene that, insinuates back to the old lineage of Pomeranians when they used to be much bigger than the current tiny Pomeranians we think of today. If you enjoy these weird animal facts, I don't know why you're not following our page already.